Jay, it's time for round three.
Yeah, I'm Coach Jay Bright. Hopefully you watched our first part on team and systems. We're going to talk to you a little bit about time today, Coach Fraser Smith. Do you want to kick us off?
With time? So let's talk about, so time is probably one of the things that we find in a lot of our recruits or people who are following us, who we're working with, our clients, they never have enough of, right? So everybody's stressed about their time because they're working in their business. They're not necessarily always working on their business, but they got family responsibilities, they got friend responsibilities, they've got work responsibilities. They're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. So they're just stretched thin. So today we want to talk about some of those things that we can do to literally amplify our return on investment in the time that we give.
Well, entrepreneurs, that's the one thing we can never get enough of is time. And I remember I was just doing a phone call with a group of people, and I had them look at one of our regular rhythms and routines. We'll talk about this in part 4, what we can do practically on a regular basis. But we have to had them look at what's called their DTS, their dynamic time schedule, where they're spending their time. And they kept saying, wow, from our last call, we haven't really got that much done. I've been working on this, and I had a water heater. And I said, okay, well, let's figure this out. What if you slept 1 less hour a day? Or what if you put 30 minutes into preparing 30 extra minutes a day into preparing meals? And that way you're working less at dinner. You can just easily crock pot it. Again, there's a bunch of ways that they could compact their time, because then when they looked at it in terms of the boxes, just making little tweaks and keeping energy signatures the same, right? Have 1 cooking time a day, and then that covers all 3, right? You don't have to have 3 different cleanup, cooking, and such. So look at keeping energy signatures together. What they found, this group that was working together, was that if they each retrieve 2 hours of time a day, right? So they now have 4 hours a day total. Multiplying that potentially, I didn't want them to go 7 days a week working an extra 4 hours a day. I said, you've got an extra 28 hours a week that you can work on your business. And they're just like, wow, that's incredible. So it's like, I just want you to take one thing, look at one thing where you can be very efficient as a couple. And that, because if you can do one thing, you're going to get 10 hours of time that develops out of nowhere. And guess what? All this stuff starts happening because they realized that they were just mixing time signatures. They were mixing be time, do time, and have time.
So huge. Richard Branson is one of the best people I know that actually applies this principle, right? Leverages his time more effectively. So I mean, how do you run $7 billion companies? And I've met him personally. This guy walks his talk. He's amazing. And
I don't know you met Richard Branson. I don't know. I don't know this story.
You don't know this story? Oh my gosh, it was pretty cool. But another time, I think.
On me.
So one of the things that we notice, how do you measure your time? Well, first of all, do a time study. Sit down. Very first thing we do with clients is how are you spending your time? So measure every 15 to half an hour interval for a week. What are you doing with your time? Because a lot of the time you don't really realize where you're wasting it or where you're spending it inefficiently. So that's one of the things to do right off the bat, to just glean that in your personal life. But what about business time, Jay? Like if we talk about business time and energy, because time really has a lot to do with how you balance your energy, right?
Exactly. And where are you going to be most efficient with different types of activities? For me, I'm not great with being creative at the end of the day unless I've got a bottle of wine. But if I can have a bottle of wine at the end of the day, I can be really creative. I can work for 3 hours at a cost to something in the morning. So you have to look at your rhythms and routines and where you're going to be best. If you're going to be amazing in the morning, there was a time in my life where I was amazing from 4:30 in the morning until about 6:30. I could get that 2 hours of work done. I could get 6 hours of work done in a 2-hour time block because I was so productive. That time has switched for me as my life has switched. I've got kids now. I want my eyes closed at that time, right now. So it's important to understand that a DTS, your time energy signatures, are going to change with different parts of your life and different activities. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Audible piece, Fraser, with time and how you and I?
So Audible, Jay and I absolutely both subscribe to this, but I have a 15-minute drive to work. And one of the things that I love is personal growth and development, and I love to read. But I was finding with my compressed time with family responsibilities, work responsibilities, coaching responsibilities, I have less time to do that. So Jay busted my chops and said, let's start Audible, idiot. And I did. So as much as I resisted, because I'm a visual learner, I started listening to Audible books on Audible while I'm driving. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm cutting a lot. I'm listening to Audible, right? Jay, we knew that you're running, you're listening to Audible, right? So you're maximizing, you just doubled up. You just maximize the efficiency of that time. Whatever you were doing with one activity, you amplified your return on investment because you mixed it with something like learning, continuous education, things like that.
Great example. Time is, we all have the same amount of minutes. We all have the same amount of hours in a week. The question is, how are you going to get the most of that? So go ahead and hit us a note. We're happy to share a dream DTS, what our DTSs look like for us individually. We're here to help you guys. So time, yeah, limited, but it is the way that you structure it that it can make it feel unlimited and very, very powerful.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. Hope that helps. Reach out if you got questions for us, and hopefully we can help you expand and create more efficient time.